listening in today. We wanted to touch base with everyone who is interested in learning more about our eApp that we offer here at Athene. We like to think that there are some advantages to doing eApp. All of the forms will be updated and accurate. You never have to worry about having outdated or stale dated forms on your shelf. And data entry is made even easier because you can key it in. There's a few other opportunities there, but today we want to focus on actually walking through an eApp in a full demonstration. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to our sales team at 888-ANNUITY. That's 888-266-8489, 888-266-8489. They all would love the opportunity to help you learn more about eApp if you have any additional or specific questions regarding filling out an eApp. So today I have already logged in to Athene Connect, which should look very similar to any of your agent portals. There are a few different options for launching the eApp. Quick links up here in the top. Typically we'll have that as an option. I prefer to use mine down here in the bottom right-hand corner. It's also on the Products tab under Submit eApp there. So there's a few different ways that you can access this. But again, I tend to focus right here on the bottom right-hand corner under Resources, Submit an eApp. Now, because I'm a home office employee, mine will look just a slightly bit different than yours. Yours should have a white box right above where it says Launch eApp, where you can verify your agent code that you are submitting business under. Make sure that your code has been selected and click the Launch Email button. From there, you'll see only the applications that I have been working on. Please note that Athene cannot impersonate you, so we are unable to see your entries unless you call our sales team and set up a go-to meeting to help you facilitate walking through that. These are all scenarios that I have worked on in the past, so if you have questions, again, we're here to help. We've seen a lot of different things. So to begin, you start New Application over here on the top right. You will select the state that the business is being solicited in. You will select which product. Typically, we're going to see the fixed indexed annuity, and we'll just pick on Agility 10. From here, it's going to show you the required forms. Those are already in there. You don't have to do anything additional to see those forms. And the two down below are optional. If you choose not to do them, it's not going to hold up any of the sale of the application. Click on Create, and you get a pop-up box. At this point, you're able to rename this to whatever works for you. We want it to be something that you know, so if you have to leave the application and come back to it at a later time, you know exactly which application you've been working on. So if we call it the webinar demo, maybe you get specific and say it's their qualified funds. Maybe you want to put that it's their Roth. Whatever works for you so you know exactly what you're looking at, and hit Create. From this point forward, this should look very similar to the applications that you guys are already filling out using our paper forms. When you click OK, it's going to look just like the application that you're already filling out. You have a few navigational keys that will help you. Your data entry up here in the top left-hand corner shows you how far along in the process you are. You also have this forms list here in the top left-hand corner, and if you click on the two drop-down arrows, it's going to show up all of the different forms that are in this application. You'll notice that there's some red font and there's some black font. Red font is indicative of a form not being complete. The black font indicates that that form is 100% complete and no further action is required. You also have another helper over here in the top right-hand corner that will allow you to pop out the fields that are being requested. So if you can't get this to 100%, you can use your form list here or you can use this over here to pop out those required fields. You can't continue until you're at 100%. To turn these fields off, you simply click on the Show Hide icon again. So now we begin filling out the application as you normally would. Now, as you scroll through here, you'll see there are yellow fields, which are we like to have them fields. Distributor account ID is typically not a required field. There's only one state that requires that, and the majority of our agents in the 49 states will not have a distributor ID. It's not required, it's not red. We go down to what is the ownership type. Notice that the product name's already filled out and the income and death benefit rider that are available on the Agility 10 are already selected, so you don't have to do anything there. From here, you can decide how this is going to be filled out. And depending on the answers that you provide, new additional red fields will appear. If we do an individual, you'll notice these are the red fields that are coming up. If you do a trust owned, it's also going to give you a warning to let you know that we may need some additional forms and how it needs to be filled out. Same with a company owned. Gives you a little pop-up and lets you know these are the fields that we're going to need. So if we just do an individual today, we'll just start filling this out. And you'll notice as we answer these questions, things are going to come up. Now, one thing I like to point out is that as your answers are provided, additional forms may start to appear in your form list. What I did here was, if you remember, we solicited this business in the state of Colorado. However, I just put the owner's address as Iowa. If we go up to here to our form list now, we're going to see where a non-res form has been added. Now we have a non-res form letting us know that that's a required form because this person, this owner, is a resident of Iowa but doing the application in the state of Colorado. If we go back out here and we change this to Colorado, give it just a moment to update, and that form is no longer available. You no longer have to fill that out. Is this a U.S. citizen? That one's one that's typically a little harder to see, which is where these show hide icons really come in handy. And you just continue to go through the application, just as you normally would on a paper app. We're going to assume that this is a replacement, just so we can also see what that product comparison form looks like a little bit later. You can always go out and start filling out one of these in our eApp system. You just don't have to do the signatures at the very end and submit it. So if you want to go out and play around with it with a test ID, you're certainly able to do that. Keep in mind, it will sit out there for approximately 6 months before it drops off. We don't allow you to delete any partially completed applications. The reason that decision was made was because if you were at 99% or even to the point of doing signatures and you accidentally hit delete, there's no way to retrieve it. So we decided to err on the side of caution and not allow them to just simply be deleted by the click of a button. So now we're down to the beneficiary information. And again, you have your options: individual, trust, or company. We can do an individual. You can still change your percentages. If you have a social, you'll notice it's this goldenrod color. That's a really nice to have. But again, it doesn't need to be in there to make this application in good order and be able to be sent to issue. So now we have the beneficiary 100% in. You have up to 4. Now, here's where it can get kind of interesting. If you have more than 4 beneficiaries, you can check here and it's going to provide another form to add beneficiaries to it. The other way you can do this, and what we've seen in the past, is if the client will sign and date, providing all of this information that's required up here, so those red fields again, in a signed and dated letter, you have the ability up here under other actions to add additional forms and documents. So you can go up here to upload documents, go out and choose your file just like you normally would, go find it, open it, and it will upload when you click the upload button, and that will come over with the eApp. So you have a couple of different options there. Click here if you need to add more, upload the form. Here again, you've got the red field, so we're going to select IRA, and we're just going to say it's a traditional IRA. We're going to do a direct transfer. Normally, you would want to put what the premium is here, but we do leave some notes here letting you know that this information is going to be provided later on in the application, so there's no need to add anything here. So you continue filling it out just like in the other paper application. You can still do agent splits if you choose to. You just have to provide the producer name, their code, and make sure that your percentages add up to 100% or it will NIGO this and won't let you submit. You still pick your commission option, and always check your product specific training prior to signing and dating an application. This is your acknowledgement that you have completed the state required product specific training for the product in which you are selling. If you have questions on whether or not you have completed your PST, please feel free to reach out at 888 Annuity, or you can check from the homepage of Athene Connect, back where we launched the eApp, click on Complete Training, and it will show you your updated training. Now we come to the funding source page. This form is a little different than our paper application. Typically with our paper application, they just put in the premium amount, and if you need the transfer form will be there. Since this is an eApp, we ask how many different annuity sources or funding sources are going to be coming over. You can do up to 8. If there are more, give the sales desk a call and we can walk you through that. But typically we're going to see 1 or 2, maybe up to 3 or 4, but just let us know and we can walk you through that. For the sake of time today, I'm going to select 1. We're going to say this is a transfer rollover. It is a replacement because we want to see all these fun forms. And external simply means that it's not here at Athene. We're going to get this from another carrier down the road. And I'm just going to mark it as annuity, but you can see all of the different options that are available to you here. Here's where you put in the amount. And if we want to flip back to that last page on the application where it showed the premium, you can see now that it's populated with the 125 that I just put on the funding source page. It's now populated that field for us. Client or carrier initiated. Client initiated means you and the agent, or sorry, you and the client are working together to bring those funds to Athene. If you mark carrier initiated, then we're going to assume that Athene is helping to go after those funds. So if we do carrier, Athene will initiate the transfer. You get some little pop-ups along the way to help you out. Will our transfer form be used? Yes or no? Now this can go either way because if you are working with some carriers, they require their own paperwork. So if you mark no, the 1035 form will not be in this application packet. If we mark yes, now we're going to have a new form in here that we fill out, that you, the producer, fills out, and then we help get that information over to the seeding carrier. Some instances where it would not be required is if the seeding carrier requires their own paperwork. You can still fill that paperwork out, save it to your desktop or some other area on your PC, and update the eApp by uploading those documents and sending those over to us. And then we can still send those out. So we're going to assume that Athene is going after them, and you guys are going to be using the 1035 form today. Now you can see here our progress. We're at 63%. You can see that the font is starting to turn from red to black. We've got these forms already good to go. This form's already good. So now we can go right to the next one where it's not completed. Here's your allocations. Please select what you feel necessary. These are just hypotheticals so we can walk through the eApp together. What you do need to make sure is that the sum of the allocations adds up to 100%. In this case we do, so this page is now done. And now you can see all the font on that form is in black. Our next form is the suitability. If you have questions regarding Athene suitability, please be sure to reach out to us at the sales desk. We have a recorded webinar on suitability and compliance, which lasts approximately 30 minutes and will go into great detail as far as what works, what we're looking at, different nuances, and will help you to fill out these forms. We go to employed. We're just going to pretend here we're doing the state of Colorado again. So we're just going to put that information in here. Now the numbers I'm going to use in here are 100% arbitrary numbers. We're not using anything. We're not using this for suitability. So please disregard the numbers. These are only in here for the purpose of the eApp. But you can see how it's pretty easy to scroll right through here, putting in the numbers as we move along and select the same options that you would if you were doing a paper application. We did pick the Agility 10, so I went ahead and selected Lifetime Income Rider. Make sure that when you are selecting your answers to 20 and 21, that the product you pick has these features that you're selecting. For instance, Performance Elite does not have an income rider, so Lifetime Income Rider should not be selected if the client is looking to enter into the Performance Elite product. If you don't anticipate taking income from a product such as Performance Elite, which you can't, you wouldn't want Lifetime Income Rider to be selected. Again, we need to make sure that the needs and objectives of the client are met through the product being offered. This should look very similar to the paper application, and I'm just, again, putting information in here so that we can move along. And as always, you can check how far along you are and see, oh, we've missed a couple things. Well, what did we miss on page 1? I'm not really sure. Again, keep in mind you can always click on the show hide and it's going to pop that box out for you. And now we've got that form completed. And I'm going to turn my pop-ups off because I left those on. And just fill out the 1035 exchange form just like you would our transfer form that you're used to seeing on the paper application. The nice thing is, if you filled out the information once, we're not asking you to fill it in a second time. So, copy clients from the application? Yes, please. Now it pulls all of that information, their social, their first and last name, and all of that's on there for you. You still have the same options. Are we doing a full or partial penalty-free amount, and how quickly? Is there a specified date? So if we do full as soon as possible. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the 1035 exchange rollover form, there are many carriers out there who do not accept electronic signatures. And if you think back to when the application probably went into effect, electronic signatures weren't really a thing. And if it's anything like mine, my e-signature does not match my wet signature. So always, always be sure to check with the ceding carrier when making a transfer and ask them if they, one, need their own form, and if they say no and they'll accept ours, make sure you verify whether or not they'll accept e-signatures or if they still require a wet signature for verification purposes. If they tell you that they're okay with e-signatures, you have this question here. Do you want to e-sign it? Yes. Then when the client and when you sign the application at the very end, it will come back and put those signatures in this form for you. If you mark no, it's going to remind you, print for wet signatures. And again, at this point, you can print it, all of the information is filled out, have them sign it, scan it, and upload it back into the application. Many times when they say wet signatures, they're not asking for original, some will, but when they say wet, they really just want to see the client's real signature and not the e-signature version. So by clicking no, when you do the e-signatures at the very end, this page will remain blank so that you can print it and sign it. This is just your transfer instruction form. Again, just letting you know what the expectation is. You can upload transfer forms here if that's the route you choose to take. If we don't need to send out the transfer, then we wouldn't be filling out this information, so don't worry about it, but just walk through. This is just your acknowledging that they need to sign that transfer paperwork because we said we don't want the e-signature on it, and we need to get that back over to us, whether it's uploaded or whether you send it over, the next day or two once the application's submitted. Now I picked the state that has a replacement form, so some of you may have this form, others may not. So just make sure you're walking through the forms as they come up. Now, because we did say that this was a replacement of an existing annuity, it's going to require that we fill out the product comparison worksheet. If you are not replacing a life insurance or annuity product, this form will not appear because it won't be required. So again, one of the nice benefits of the eApp is depending on the answers that you give the application, it may or may not add forms or remove forms. So that way you only have what is required for your particular case. And I'm just making up numbers here 100% so you guys can kind of see how this looks. This one we're considering it's out of surrender, so I just put free withdrawal as 100. It may be 10%. It really just depends on each of the cases. And some of this information you may have to reach out to the seating carrier with the client on the line to get that information. Some may come from one of their latest statements if they have it. Some may know it, but a lot of times we find that there sometimes is that call to the seating carrier, which is a great opportunity at that point if you're getting that information to also see about the documentation for moving the transfer, what's the quickest way to make that transfer happen as expeditiously for the client as we possibly can. Is that their own forms? Is that our form? Is it e-signature or is it original wet signature, medallion stamp, whatever the case may be. But you can get all of that information during that phone call. Whatever you do here, just make sure, again, it's for the seating carrier. You don't have to fill out the Athene information over here on the far right because we've already filled out that information for you. And continue to just fill this out. You'll see we're at 99%, so we're getting close. We've got all of this filled out, so now we're just down to the additional information here. Who is the contact for any additional requirements? Now, for some of you, your back office may be that support. You may have an admin that's that support, and for many of you, it's going to be you. If you select primary agent, it's going to populate with your information that you've already provided in the eApp. Your contact name, your phone number, your email address, and that's where all new business requirements will be sent. If you choose to have somebody else get those requirements, this is where you can add that. Provide their name, the phone number, and the email address you wish for Athene to send those new business requirements to. Last but not least, put in your NPN, and you are all set. Now you'll see that the continue button has started to flash and bounce at you. It's letting you know that you're 100% complete. It's at this point that you're going to be ready for e-signatures. Now keep in mind, if there's any additional documents that you want to upload, now's the time to do it before we go to signatures. Once we go to signatures, in order to make any adjustments, you're going to have to call back those signatures and it's going to start the process over again. So you just want to make sure everything's where you want it to be. Again, if you have other items to upload, other actions, upload documents. If you want to save a version of this, you can always go to display print PDF, and it's going to list everything right here. If there's certain things you don't want to print, you just uncheck them. And then hit print selected items, and it creates a PDF for you. So here's everything that you just filled out, all 49 pages of it, all typed out, ready to be submitted. You can download it, print it, save it, whatever your desires are there. So if we're confident that we're ready to go to signatures, you click on Continue. You can use e-signatures or you can decline e-signatures. If you decline e-signatures, it's going to request that you print the application, get all of the signatures, and submit that. And again, you can submit that through submitcustomerdocs@Athene.com. You can fax that to us. The fax number for those would be 866-709-3922, or you can mail those in and use our overnight mailing address, the 7700 Mill Civic Parkway. Again, for specific details, be sure to reach out to us here at Athene, and we're happy to get that information to you. If you choose to use e-signatures, now you can send this to your client. If your client's sitting down there with you and ready to go, you click on Owner. They can do a sign now. If you are meeting with your client and they decide that they want to take the weekend to look it over, great. I appreciate that. We can work with that. So we're going to send you the email. When you do the email, it's going to have the signer name. You enter the signer email. All of the information is going to come up in here. This is pulling from the application itself, and this is a summary of what that email is going to look like. Dear Mr. So-and-so, thank you for applying for the Agility 10. Here's the link, sincerely, and you're going to have a link in there. That link is good for 5 days. So from the time you hit send email, they're going to have 5 days to click on that link in that email and walk through the steps of signing and dating that application. If they expire after 5 days, you can go back out and you can resend this, and then they'll get a new link that again will be good for the next 5 days. Now as the agent, it's going to look very similar to what the client's going to see. So if you've walked through one of these, this is what the client's going to see when they click on that link as well. It wants you to go through the documents below and make sure you're giving it a one over again. And in that time span, I now have the email as if I'm the client. So we'll come back to that, but it was that fast. So I have agreed with application. There's my certificate of disclosure. I'm good with that disclosure. I'm good with the suitability information. The replacement form I filled out, my product comparison worksheet, and now my electronic consent. So now I go to sign. And again, this is you as the agent on this one. So you can type your name. You can use your stylist, but most will just print their name, type their name, and consent. And that piece of it's done. Now this is a copy of the email that the client got. Thank you for the client. Here's the product. Here's the link. So when the client clicks on it, it's going to ask them. They can review the documents, but they're also going to see them in the sign activity. So most of them are going to go right to sign activity. Again, looks just like it did for you as the agent. Application, certificate of disclosure, suitability, replacement, the product comparison worksheet, and then the e-signatures. And then they sign. same scenario. Okay. Now we're going to go right back out. We're going to start this all over again. Because the nice thing with the eApp is if you filled out, call it 80, 90% of that application, you can save it and go right back into it. And everything's going to be out there. So here's our application that we've been working on. If we click on it, everything's good to go. Now, there's one step left that you guys don't have to do, and that's actually submit it. If you've signed it and the client signed it, it's good to go. But because I'm home office, obviously they don't want me just submitting pretend applications. So it won't let me go any further than this on ours. But that's really all there is to it. All of the information's out here. It's saved. You can always go back out and download, save a copy, whatever that takes for you. The other thing that's really nice with the eApp is, let's just say because this was the qualified money, maybe they had non-qualified money. If you go out to all applications, you see the exact application that we were working on. You have the opportunity out here to click copy and copy as is, and it's going to take everything over, including the product, or copy with changes. If you do copy with changes, again, we can just go back out here and maybe we do the exact same product. All the forms are here. We give it our specific name, and it's going to pull over all of that information. Everything is going to come over. Everything's already out here. So then you can just go out and edit the few things that still need to be updated, and then do the signatures. Because this is a new app, again, we just want to confirm the training, and we're already at 100%. So it's really convenient if you have to do multiple cases on the same person, or even if they're spouses. A lot of times we find it's very easy if you do one spouse to flip and do the other spouse, because most of the time their beneficiaries are going to be very similar, or maybe it's just the beneficiaries that have to change, but the suitability information is going to be the same because it's a household. So it makes it very easy for you to do multiple applications with very little extra work. And then you're back to signatures. So that concludes the demo of the eApp. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the Athene sales desk at 888 Annuity. That's 888 266 8489. 888 266 8489. Thank you and have a great afternoon.